Today we're going to be going over how to do an upgrade to your Baratza Encore grinder. The upgrade that we are going to be doing is we are going to be replacing the burr set to these that I ordered from Baratza. The burrs that we are going to be replacing this Encore with is the item number 6374 and 6175, which is basically the M2 upgrade. So basically this upgrade to this grinder is going to be replacing the burrs on this with the burrs of the Virtuoso, making this basically the same grinder as a Virtuoso. The only difference is the plastic parts in the name, but the burr set will be the same. This is a pretty simple thing to do. The cost for this is, if you've already had the Encore and you've used it before, $55. If it's brand new, all you need to do is just buy this $35 piece right there in the center. So just a fair warning, I've already taken apart this, so it should be a little bit quicker, and a lot of these things are going to be a lot easier than what it would be when you are first taking it apart. So don't be alarmed if some of these parts are a little hard to take off in the first place. So we're going to start with what are the tools. We got a 2mm hex wrench, a flathead screwdriver, a couple of pliers, both specifically a needle nose is necessary for this, and a 1/2-inch socket. So the first thing we're going to do is we are going to remove this hopper by turning it all the way over to the right. We can put that off the side. We are going to remove the grounds bin, and we are going to remove the knob on the right-hand side of the grinder. We're just going to put those out of the way. One thing I typically use is I use the head to store some parts and stuff like that, so I don't have all the screws laying around. Second from there, we are going to pull off this little black thing. This just kind of helps keep the grounds in there. And then next, we are going to replace and pull off this. This is the outer ring, which we got the replacement right there, so we can just go ahead and put that off the side. Next, we are going to turn both of these, the burrs and the nut, wing nut, are both clockwise. So you can just maybe jerk it off to the right side and flip it clockwise and get that taken off. Oops. The joys of tools is it gets stuck sometimes in there. Let's see if I can get that out. I'm crushing this video so far. I'll get that out later. So basically, if you can get that out clockwise, and if you can just jerk that burr off to the right clockwise, this is going to go a lot quicker. For me, I had to take the whole thing apart. So to take the whole thing apart, what you're going to do is on the bottom here, you will see a couple different clamps on this. So you basically need to take a flathead screwdriver, and this is a very terrifying part, and just pry off this top part on both sides. And then there's no screws to take this off, but you just simply lift off that top part right there, and then you're into your grinder. The next thing we're going to do is right here we're going to have these clips. I'm not sure really what they go to, but these come off, go off to the side. Then we're going to have 3 screws here. One right here, and you just unscrew that with the 2mm hex. Again, I've said I've already done this before. And be careful when you take the front one to the right and the rear one off. They have little screws here that go on the bottom. So hopefully you can get those out without losing them. So slide all of these off, put them in your little tray. Got one right there. And then from here on, you should be able to go ahead and remove this entire casing. So this should just be able to slide right off. After that, we will have 2 wires, and these simply just pull out. The nice thing about this is it should say on the bottom of this particularly that, oh, there goes that wing nut, that which side is red. So that's should be an easy marker and indicator for when that happens and when you need to take that out. So we're done with that base right now, and then we're on to the next part, which is disassembling the motor. So for this, you're going to have 4 more of those 2mm hex screws. And I actually did have to tighten these all the way to get this back on. So you just simply unscrew those. These are counterclockwise turns. So pretty simple. There's 4 of these on the bottom. And this is where things get a little tricky. This next step was a real pain to get this upgrade done in here. But once we get this out, this makes it a little bit easier. And see, if you get lucky and if your burr isn't on super tight, you might get the privilege of missing all of these steps. I unfortunately did not have that option here. So this should just be able to pop right off. You kind of have to wiggle it a little bit due to that this part right here. So once you're done with that, you can go ahead and just put your motor away from the side. This is magnetic, so try and put it away from all of the other stuff and get it out of the way of the screws. Now right here, this was kind of a challenge, and I totally didn't realize that I didn't put this fully back together. But on this right here, you will see a I can't think of the name of that. Washer, there we go. Washer, one of these, and a bolt. So the way I got this off in particularly, this was quite a challenge, is I basically took those needle nose pliers and I had to put them at this angle where I kind of was able to get down lower. And then I just yanked it off with these pliers. So that was kind of a very, very forceful, difficult thing. From there, this shaft was lodged into there, so I just placed it down on a towel and I just whacked it with the back of the screwdriver until it popped out. And once that popped out, this became free, and I would just slide out that shaft. And these two, you make sure you keep all these O-rings in the exact order that they came in. But once this got out, I simply took the pliers and grabbed this area right here and grabbed a towel to grab the sharp burrs and then twisted it again clockwise. So you have to get that clockwise to screw off. And then after some jerking and some time, it eventually will come up. And now back for the reassembly. So you take those burrs that you just bought. And if you want to see the side-by-side comparison there, you can see quite a bit more sharpness, how the burrs go up quite a bit higher on this M2 Burr versus the standard burr in there. So you got quite a bit. I'm going to do another comparison here about the difference between the two burrs. So you'll see that. So you simply just screw that on, and I just made the mistake of doing this clockwise or counterclockwise. So you have to screw this counterclockwise, get that on there. You can go ahead and grab your wing nut, probably screw that on there. And again, spinning it clockwise, which is kind of a hard thing to remember how to do, just because it's abnormal. And then you are going to not lose anything. We're going to put this back on here, slide this through, and then got to be careful of this O-ring here. And what we are going to do is we are going to flip that right over, back on there. So we got our burr fully on, and then we are going to drop this O-ring. So just do this, take this apart exactly how you put it on. So if you have different parts than I do, or different O-rings, leave them the exact same way that they came on the grinder. These were specifically calibrated for their ways. And this part's a little difficult here. And then I dropped an O-ring as well. So let's go ahead and put both of those back on in the way they came. And this part, you just kind of have to hold up on the burr and push down on that. Then I'm going to go ahead and grab these which you did not see on there prior to. You have the, I just called those O-rings, I realized that. Go ahead and put those back on. So you can get them tightened, which I feel like should be easier than it actually was. Well, we're getting there. Slowly but surely. This little booger is kind of tough to pop on there. Takes a lot of force, so don't be afraid to just kind of lean on it, and it looks like I got it there. So back to putting those O-rings on. Not O-rings, washers. Did I just lose one? Slip that on there, and now we should be good to go a little bit easier. Clearly, I'm not one of those types of people who works with tools very often, but nonetheless, that means one thing is it makes it a little bit easier for anybody else to do this. A ton of experience, you just need to have a few tools laying around, and you should be all right on that. So that should spin. It should be a little stuck. It shouldn't spin like super quick, but got that on there. We're good to go on that. We're going to take this motor, and you can kind of see how that lines up and goes straight in and over the shaft. And then you got these little screws here. So 2mm. And before I did this, I took the time to do 3 grind settings on my Encore prior to the upgrade, and I'm going to do the same 3 grind settings on it afterwards. So I did it at the absolute finest that you can go on the grinder, and then I am also going to do it on the absolute coarsest. So finest right in the center on 20, and then on 40. 0, 20, and 40. So we're going to just take those grind sizes, and we are going to compare them straight to the grind sizes that are going to be on the new Encore once this upgrade is complete. So this total should probably take you less than a half hour. Well, hopefully. It's mainly just getting some of that stuff on and off can be kind of a pain, and it's very terrifying when it comes to potentially breaking your machine. The casing especially was like a little nerve-wracking to just kind of pop on and off a little bit in there, but nevertheless it did all right. All right, so we're almost done with this part here. This might be a fun part to maybe just fast forward a little more in the video, because this was not the most pleasant thing. Anybody can figure out how to screw with a screwdriver. All right, so once we got that on, we look for that red cable there, and we put the 2 prongs on the inside of it, right on the red. So you can see that little red mark on that, and that just pops on. And then we do the same with the black one. Oh, I totally missed the red one. Let's try that again. There you go. You should feel a little bit of force when you do that with the red one. So, and do the same with that black one, and just pop it on right over that. Goes on fairly easy. Slide this back down and line up the chute and the screws here. Now back to this one, I accidentally slid out this entire thing this entire part slides out right here, so you can kind of tell that that one goes right in the front because it's the only place that doesn't have the white in there. So we're going to get this lined up until that screw goes in there. Grab that 2mm hex. So that 2mm is by far probably the most significant tool in this entire thing. You can't really do anything with the screws without it. And then you're going to grab your other screw and this little tiny nut that goes along with it. And this one will go there on the side. And just hope that you don't drop it, because I'm a little terrified of that myself. There we go. Alright, so you got that guy on there. This little part can clip on whenever you like. Just goes on right there. And then you got your last one. This one just kind of slides in because it's got that kind of weird little part there. I probably should have done this one first, now that I think about it. Oh, there goes the camera. So that fits right there like that. Grab that little screw. Oh. And we are getting to the finishing stages on this. I kind of chose to make this video because I didn't see a ton out there on it, and the only one that I did see was for a similar upgrade but on a different grinder. This is a very popular grinder out there, and you can really do a lot with it and upgrade it quite significantly for not that much. When you put in, say you have a budget of 150 bucks, you can kind of start off pretty low. Grab this grinder, and then you're going to put in this new Burr set. So you got this. These are literally the exact same. The reason why we replaced this on there is not because anything was wrong with this one, but more so to have these burrs wear evenly. So that's why I upgraded this. If you just got your grinder and wanted to do the upgrade, then it's not really completely necessary. So I slid that in there. We got the top, and that just slides on somehow. And then once you double check to make sure you got all the cables in fully, you just pop it down. And then we throw back on this little knob. Not entirely sure how it was on. There we go. That makes it pretty easy. It's got a little cutout for that. Throw back on your little ring up top there, and there's a little cutout for that. Then you are going to put that back on, and you should hear some clicks. And then put your grounds bin on, and you are good to go. You got yourself a brand new Burr set in your Encore. I hope you enjoy, and I hope this video is useful to you. Go ahead, and if you want to see more of the grind sizes difference between the Encore pre-Burr upgrade to the Encore with the M2 upgrade, and you can see some of these grind comparisons side by side. So after like 2 minutes of the first video, I realized I made 2 mistakes. The first one is you might notice that I couldn't grind past 20 when I was moving the dial. The reason for that is if you see this little red tab here, is basically I just put this burr in backwards. So if you just turn it, it'll fall right here. The second thing is I noticed is it wouldn't grind super fine, and it would just pretty much be the same coarseness. And that problem is associated here. If this black piece moves at all, while you're moving it, so you should probably just check this before you go ahead and assemble it all, is it needs to be, you can use your hopper for this. If you see this, it should be locked so you can't turn it counterclockwise. And that white line right there should be where it's at. So then when you turn, it should be fully like this. So mine was probably set up something like halfway or give or take or something, so I couldn't move it. So you can kind of use your hopper to put that in. You can line it up. It's kind of hard to do. You can line it up with those little black things there, and you can turn it where it's supposed to be. So when your hopper is put like this, line it up there, you can turn it a full clockwise. You kind of have to push down a little bit on it without the top on it. Easy way to do that is if you can see that right there, you can see this little plastic piece, and that has to basically trigger right here. So this needs to kind of be able to go this way, and you kind of have to put some force on it without it. So hopefully this will all help you with any troubleshooting. Any questions you have, just drop them in the comment, and please subscribe and check out my other videos about what the grind difference looks like between these two Burr sets.